So what if the most basic things you believe about the world, I'm talking about money, about who you are, even why you went to school, are all just powerful illusions? In this explainer, we're diving into a perspective that totally challenges our understanding of reality to reveal how power really works. Let's get right into it.
To really wrap our heads around this, we have to start with the philosopher Immanuel Kant. Now, he had this big idea. He argued that there's a real objective world out there, for sure, but we can never ever directly experience it. Our senses, our brains, they're like a filter, constantly shaping everything we see.
Kant had names for these two worlds. The noumena, that's the world as it actually is, totally unknowable to us. And then there's the phenomena, that's the world as we see it, the one we live in. So the big takeaway here is that your reality, my reality, it's a construct. It's built inside our minds. It's a constant act of imagination. And believe it or not, that idea is the key to unlocking how real power actually functions.
Okay, so if our reality is something we imagine, what does that mean for power? It means it's not just about armies and laws, not by a long shot.
According to this analysis, the ultimate form of control is basically a kind of magic trick for the mind. It's the ability to plant an idea in your head, an idea about money or yourself or your country, and to make you believe in it so deeply that it literally runs your life. Let's look at 3 massive examples of this in action. First up, one of the most powerful illusions we all live under every single day: money. We think of it as this, the solid, scarce thing. But is it really?
Let's do a quick thought experiment from the source material. Imagine you and a bunch of other people deposit a total of $5 million into a bank. The bank then turns around and loans out $4.5 million of it. So how much money actually exists in the system now? Take a second. Really think about it.
So what's the answer? Well, the logical answer might seem to be 5 million, but the real answer, it's $9.5 million. How is that possible? Well, think about it. Your original $5 million deposit is still there. In your account, on paper, you believe you have it. But at the exact same time, somebody else is holding $4.5 million in a loan. Both of those amounts exist at the same time in the economy. This is literally how banks create money out of thin air.
And this gets to the absolute core of the illusion. The source argues that we are taught from day one that money is this limited resource. But in reality, the system is designed to create it, basically infinitely. So why keep up the illusion?
Well, the illusion has a purpose. It makes money seem valuable, which gets us to work our butts off for it. It creates what you could call artificial misery, poverty, which keeps us all striving. And then big events like crises or wars are used to destroy wealth, which just reinforces that myth of scarcity and keeps the whole game going.
All right, let's move on to the second major illusion, our very idea of the individual self. We just take for granted that we're these separate, individual beings, but that idea is actually pretty new in human history.
Just look at the massive shift. In the ancient world, everything was about the group, the collective. Your fate was all tied up with your community and the whims of the gods. The goal was something the Greeks called eudaimonia, like a shared communal flourishing. But fast forward to today, it's all about the individual. You're told you're just your brain, happiness is your own personal project, and your problems, they're yours and yours alone to solve.
And here's the kicker. This shift, according to the source, is what makes us so powerless. Now, I know that sounds backwards, right? Aren't we supposed to be more empowered now?
Well, here's how it's said to work. By making you think every problem is internal, it's your fault, in your head, it stops you from looking for societal causes. And if everyone's looking inward, it prevents us from acting together. You become isolated, dependent on experts to fix you, and the whole point of life shifts away from real flourishing to just chasing the next hit of personal pleasure.
And that brings us to our third and final illusion. This is the one that really helps lock all the others in place, the system of compulsory schooling.
So, let's ask a simple question. Why do we go to school? The answer feels so obvious, doesn't it?
We're all told it's to learn skills, to gain knowledge, get a degree, land a good job. But the source makes a compelling point. This model of sitting passively in a classroom isn't actually the best way to learn practical skills. So if that's not its real main purpose, then what is?
Well, the source drops a bombshell of an answer: brainwashing. It argues that the entire structure of modern schooling is a system designed for indoctrination. And the history here is pretty telling. The first 3 societies in history to roll out mandatory public schooling were Sparta, the Aztecs, and Prussia.
Now, what on earth did those three civilizations have in common?
One thing, war. They were all fundamentally militaristic states. Their entire existence was built around conquest and warfare. They needed a system that could reliably churn out obedient soldiers and citizens who were willing to die for a cause bigger than themselves.
And this slide lays out the playbook perfectly. Step 1, separate the child from their parents to create a sense of insecurity. Step 2, install the teacher as the new, unquestionable authority figure. And the final, crucial step, implant the abstract idea of the nation-state, an imaginary community that you're taught to love, obey, and even die for.
So when you start putting these three giant illusions together, the illusion of money, the illusion of the self, and the illusion of the nation-state, you start to see this complete picture of how power really operates in our world.
The source has a perfect name for this whole process: alchemy. Not the old kind, turning lead into gold. This is about turning nothing, a pure idea, into a concrete reality that controls the lives of billions of people. And these are the great alchemies of our era. An infinite resource we're convinced is scarce, a radical focus on the self that leaves us feeling isolated and powerless, and an imaginary community that we're taught to sacrifice everything for. These ideas, planted in our minds, that's the true source of power. Which leaves us with a final, really big question to chew on. If our reality is this grand illusion, this act of imagination shaped by these powerful ideas, who is the magician? And maybe, more importantly, can we, together, start to imagine something new?